Who else would like to make a comment? Again, we're talking specifically about the items that Chris Pierce brought before the board, maybe a compromise on the 90-day use, number of people producing, fee structure. Yes, we need your name and address, please.
Reverend Portia Cabbage, 5544 Ames Avenue, and right now Clare Memorial United Methodist Church has a service at 2 p.m. on Sundays. I stand to just ask that the board would be open and listen to those of us that do not produce in the studio that is not up and running now, and the cost that Chris talked about, as well as the number of persons. Want to make sure that you do keep an open mind and take into consideration those of us that do our own producing and send the tape in already ready to be produced, that we should not be penalized or have to pay money to put on something on public access TV. If we wanted to pay money, then we would use regular channel TV where they do ask us to pay. Also, I do want to say to Mr. Smith and Ms. Williams, it's good to see you on this board. I asked the City Council to make sure that the CTAC board represented, or I could see myself on the board. And so I do appreciate your presence on the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to make a comment? Again, we're not to policies and procedures yet. This is just relating to the issues that, yes, name and address, please. You have 5 minutes.
Regarding the 1 hour.
I beg your pardon?
Regarding the 1 hour.
You can talk to the 1 hour now, sure, yeah.
Stephen Zach, 4339 California Street, Omaha, Nebraska, 6131-1741. I've been producing 20 years, 18, 20 years, Chris. I mean, and I know, I happen to know a few religious people, ministers, not very many, and I know one who's Catholic. And I mean, I think it's wrong that you have a minister show. I mean, I don't care what religion you are. I mean, it's not. We need more religion in our city. I mean, we do. To knock off religion when they're doing it out of their godliness and out of their heart. What else can I say? I have a brother who's a minister, he's a priest, and I mean, if Mass takes an hour, like on Channel 21, it takes an hour. You can't shut them off at the offertory or communion time or the gospel. I don't know what else to say. I mean, and I don't know if I can comment on the money thing. I mean, for those who produce outside, I'm producing outside now because of all the troubles we had when Cost Cable had the studio out there 20 miles out of town. Well, not 20 miles, but maybe 10. And it was very hard to get there, and we had trouble with the equipment and everything. It's a long story. You all know the story. But I produce with my own camera now. And now Mr. Nelson said some people are complaining about the 28 minutes. Well, I got to remember now to do 28 minutes, because if you cut me off on my front, you're only going to know what my show's about, or my. It's more complicated now, and so I don't know. I think I deserve a half hour. If I'm going through all the effort to try to put shows in, and this coming, for today's Monday night, my show is about the Filipino people. And I mean, I called 4 others, so I'm not doing it for money. And then my show Saturday night at 8 o'clock, I do 2 shows. Tonight, 9:30, Saturday, 8 o'clock. And I hope I don't ever get changed, because people are watching that. And I still wish we had some station to go to. It's probably not Jim's fault or Chris's fault. Maybe Cost Cable still have a station to go to where I push whatever it is, and I can find out what's on from 8 to 9, or 8 to 8:30, or 9:30 to 10, or whatever the words are. We need a slot. Maybe there is one, I don't know about it. But we need to know what's on next. I don't get the newspaper, and there's, I don't know if it's even in the World Herald, who's on what, who's on first and who's on second. So I don't believe in changing our spots. We got people accommodating use for watching certain times, so don't change our positions, and let us have let the ministers have our show, or Democracy Now! Let those voices be heard. We are the flavor of Omaha. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else like to speak? Again, we're not to policies and procedures yet. These are just items relating to Chris Pierce's concerns about fees and the number of people needed for production. Yes, sir, we need your name and address and any connection to cable TV, and you've got 5 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Pastor Woods of People's Mission Missionary Baptist Church, and I was listening to the vast increase in the amount of people, the cost. Now, I'm giving two different numbers. One was $35 and another one is $100 per person. And this first time you're hearing about the $100 tonight. And also on that 90-day freeze, like you other people said, that we produce our own service and we just turn the tape in. But we have been reduced to 28 minutes, not even 30 minutes. And we often had an hour on Sunday, and now it was cut. And I was one of the first that was cut, but the rest of them was still going for the hour. And I approached Mr. Craddock and asked him why was I being cut, no one else. And so eventually everybody was cut down to 28 minutes. But the issue is that cost. But why it's so sudden that we have to come up with $100 per person as opposed to $35 per person? That's seems like somebody's out to get some money. And if we have our own equipment, I don't see why we have to have all that and then go to the studio and just present the service. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to make a public comment again specifically on the Chris Pierce issues? Need your name and address, and you've got 5 minutes.
Davis, 7431 Pasadena Circle. My comment is basically, in reality, it only takes one person to run a program. Other than one person, unless you have a switcher and your audio board in 2 different rooms, you can always set your cameras on a stationary. And if you are going virtual reality, which I don't think you guys are going to be doing, and that's where you use a green screen, just in case those of you who don't know what virtual reality is. That's where you have an actual set within your switcher, and it looks like that you're someplace else, but you're right actually there, and the green screen is behind you. That would take up your time where you might want to have more than one person. But other than that, in reality, like I said, it only takes one person to do this. And unless you're, you got your equipment in separate rooms, that's it. And my last comment is, I think we should go back to the hour programming for people who want hour programs. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else like to make a public comment at this time? Again, just on those specific issues brought forward by Chris Pierce. Seeing no one else, let's go on to agenda item 6D, which is action on policy and procedure changes. Dean, do you want to start us off on this, or how do you want to handle it?
Sure. Again, just to recap from the discussion, this is a document based on all you guys' input, all of the material you had sent to me, with a few changes that Drew just made in terms of changing the name producer to user, changing the 2-hour notification for equipment to 2 weeks, and we'll go ahead and leave currently the 6 items that we need if you want to do a live production. If you want me to provide any clarifying based on the public comment, I can do that as well. You can just call and let me know what questions you guys have.
Okay, anything else before we hear from the public on this item too? Do we want to have any discussion among ourselves at this point, or this is part of the us receiving public comments? So it's okay with everybody. We'll start that now. So
Hey, John, can I just,
yes,
sorry.
Yes, please, Dean, yeah.
One introduction I wanted to do is I know you guys have received a few emails. There was even some comments made this evening in terms of making the policies more restrictive. Again, that's why I sent you the Cox Cable Handbook for producers in place for over 20 years. But as you can see, it only allowed for a 40-hour matrix for a week. In addition, there was no live cable casting was not available through public access, 40 hours airtime. In terms of locally produced content, the exact verbiage read, all programs aired on public access channel must be locally produced. The definition of locally produced shall mean not less than 75% of any given program shall be created within either the city limits of Omaha, Douglas, Sarpy, or Potawatomi County. Our policies actually allow for imported material as a sixth priority. Of course, I highlighted a lot of little things like binders were considered anyone over 21. We are 18. We are allowing for live cable casting on Mondays, where these policies did not allow for that. So anyway, my point I was trying to make to the board is that we were actually, I think, listening to the community and trying to adopt some of the shows that had migrated. I know I got some questions, how do these shows get on here if they were prohibited? I don't have that answer, and of course that's water under the bridge. At this point, I think we just need to move forward and try to accommodate it as best as possible. So the policies before you, I thought were less restrictive than what we had for the last 20 years.